good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Visual Sound webinar. Thanks for visiting with us today. My name is Dana Witzel, and I'm a Visual Sound Account Manager on the education team. Our presenter today is Corey Freed. Corey is our Visual Sound Education Consultant. She's a former classroom teacher and both Google and Microsoft certified. She'll be sharing some resources after the call, so please enter your email address in the chat box located in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Today's session is being recorded. Thanks again for attending.
All right, good morning, everybody. So I have muted all your microphones. If you have any questions, though, you are more than welcome to come off of mute to ask them. You could also just type them in the text box. So today's webinar is on Smart Learning Suite Online for asynchronous learning. And if you haven't used Smart Learning Suite before, we're going to look a little bit at what you can do with it. And we're also going to look at some things you might need. So first thing I want to show you is in Google Drive. When you go under New and then you go to More, you're going to see an option that says Smart Learning Suite. Now this option has to be turned on by your school district, so if you do not see that option, please reach out to your IT department or your administrator because it is an easy one-click option, but it has to be done from an administrative account for the whole district. So the reason that you want to have that Smart Learning Suite is because you want to be able to edit your documents in Smart. This gives you more interactive features and the abilities for your students to do things. So this right here is my original Google Slides for Smart Learning Suite. So as you can see, my slideshow itself is pretty basic. It just has a couple of slides in it. Obviously, you can make your presentations as long as you need them to be. This is just a demonstration and a sample. I am now going to go into Smart Learning Suite to show you this exact same presentation. So when we are in Smart Learning Suite, we can allow our students to join the class. Now, I have a representative from Visual Sound here today who is going to pretend to be a student. If you would like to join as a student as well, you are more than welcome to, because anyone with a computer can go to hellosmart.com and type in the class ID. This class ID is attached to your email address as the teacher. So 120636 is my personal 6-digit code. Anytime I go anywhere, that code comes with me. If I log into a smartboard in your classroom, your smartboard will flop over to my class code while I'm logged in. Same thing for you. If you go between classrooms during the day, your code follows you. If you are doing asynchronous like we are, your code will follow you. Yes, your students do go directly to hellosmart.com. Now, you will see an option that says log in with Google or log in as guest. For today, because it is obviously a demonstration, it will not matter. For your students, I highly recommend you train them to go log in with Google. This allows them to log in with their account, and what it also does is it lets them save their work from class to class. So if they were to log in tomorrow, they can pull up work that they did today. Your ID might not be the class code. So when you get onto Hello Smart, if you saw what I did, and I'll do it again for you, on the top left, you're going to see this little icon of 2 people. When you click on it, and it's always 2 people, the fact that we have 2 signed in right now is nothing to do with the 2 people. You're going to see your name and your class ID on the top. If you click that arrow, it makes it bigger so that everyone else can see it easier on your screen. I will go back into the editing side of Smart Learning Suite in a minute. And at that point, I will show you the other location where you can find that ID for yourself. And yes, I see somebody from the Philadelphia School District wrote the district has turned it on. That is correct. Philadelphia definitely does have it on because I know that we've done trainings in your district for it already. There may be people on this webinar from other districts, which is the reason I made that comment. All right, so the first thing I want to show you is when you click on those people, you're going to see lesson pacing, and you're going to see options for teacher or student. If you are doing asynchronous learning, you want to leave this marked as student. The reason you want that is because your students will be able to use these arrow keys to go between the slides on their own pace. If I am to switch it to teacher paced, all of you will be switched immediately to the same slide as me. You are unable to go between the slides unless I, as the teacher, switch the slide. So that's the first trick with asynchronous, is to leave it in student pacing. There are a few activities that will not work in asynchronous, and I will talk to you about that as we move forward. So the reason why I like to do my presentations first in Google Slides and then import them is because it gives you a lot more editable features. Right now, Smart Learning Suite is limited in what you can edit on the website. This has been improving. In fact, I'd say from September of this year till now, they have increased it by at least 20 to 30% of the features. By next school year in September, it should be, hopefully, cross your fingers, as good as PowerPoint and Google Slides. That is the goal that Smart has laid out. However, the timeline, we're not positive. So that is the reason why I like to edit it first in Google, just to make it nice and clean looking, a little more visually stunning, and then add the interactive stuff in Smart Learning Suite. So when you go to make the interactive stuff, you will see an option on the bottom that says Convert to Activity. When you don't see that option, it's because you are presenting. However, if I was to click on my people again, you will see it now gives me that option. This page is view only on student devices. You can convert it into an activity. When working asynchronously, you definitely want to stick to individual handout activities. Anything that says collaborative requires you to be in teacher mode. Obviously, if your students are logging in at their own pace, they are not in teacher mode, and therefore the collaborative activities will not work. Now I want you as the students to try an activity to see what your students would be like. So if you went to slide number 4, you are going to see an activity, and I'm going to turn it on here so you can see the teacher version. So this activity is pretty simple. It says, see how easy it is to collect student work, add some stars and planets to the slide. Your students can come over to the left and they will see their toolbar. If this is the first time you're using Smart Learning Suite with your students, you may want to give them these directions. Either type it onto the slide, say something like look to the left for the toolbar, or in the directions when you post this on whatever website you're posting it to, Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, give them those directions that say the toolbars are there. When you as the teacher want to go check your student work, right up here in the corner, you are going to see that double arrow. And when I click on it, I will see my students. So if I click on Devin, I will see my student, my sample student is slacking a little bit. There we go. Because I specifically asked Devin to be a student so that way I'd have some examples. So
I'm
you can see,
I'm doing great.
you can see she just drew a picture of Saturn on there. Now she's putting some stars. If I go switch over, I can click on Dana, and I'll see Dana was a lot more ahead, a lot more advanced. She drew 2 stars on there. So the one thing I will say is if your students have touch screens, the drawing is obviously easier than if they're using their mouse. However, you will notice there is a text box option, and I could even add a text box right here. And when I post that, Dana will see my message on her slide directly. Again, you can change the color. So if you're just like me and typed black on black, you can edit it. It is all there. So the teacher and the students have the same editing options. If I was to go back now to Devin again, I will see she has gotten a lot more advanced. Her stars even look better. So she's practicing using her mouse to draw. That is excellent work. Now, I do have another interactive slide. I wonder if either of my students got ahead of me or if they were both on that slide first. So I come here and I'm going to again show you the teacher handout first. So this activity is a little different because this one is a fill in the blank. The reason I did the fill in the blank this way though, is because if I did the fill in the blank pre-made activity on Smart Learning Suite Online, I as the teacher cannot grade the student's work. And I will show you that example in a moment. But with this one, students can drag and drop those words. So if I was to go, Devin, did you do it yet before I click on your name?
I'm working on it.
Okay, so if I was to click on Devin, I will see that she pulled some of those words over. That's perfect because at least this way people can see what I meant when I say the student can do the work. Thank you, Devin. So As you can see, Devin just dragged the words from the word bank into the fill in the blank. But because this fill in the blank was made using Smart Learning Suite's text and typing, she is able to drag it, and I, as the teacher, am able to see it. Now, if we were to do the other type of activity, and I'm going to just go through my slides to make sure which slide it is. So if we were to do an activity like this, match them up, the students can participate in this on their individual devices for practice. However, I, as the teacher, if you notice, there is no option to pull down the student work because this activity is not gradable. There is no way for me to explain it. All right, someone just said, explain why you can drag them over. When I go back to the edit functions, I am going to show you how that dragging would work. So it's just a different way of creating the slide, and I will show you that. But like I said, with these activities here, I can do the work. So I could drag the 1/2, I could drag the 0.5, and it shows they got it correct. However, I can't go back and see, did the student actually do it, or did the student do it correctly? So that's the reason why these activities are great for reinforcement and practice at the asynchronous level. However, other activities are better for the purpose of grading. And then right here, I even left you guys a little note that says only responses provide teachers with results. However, responses is one that requires teacher paced. And sorry, I was reading what someone wrote on the comment section as I was talking. But like I was saying, the responses can only be done at teacher pace. So if you want to be able to grade your students' work, we're going to need to do just handouts or have them turn it in on a Google form of sorts. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you for the person who just asked when I said made in Suites, not Google, and for the other person that asked how the drag and drop works. So I am going to go back to my original Google Slides and show you exactly how I created this. So that activity with the drag and drop, you will notice the word bank is empty on this activity. And I just created my paragraph and a spot to put the words. Now, what I am going to do is take that same exact Google Doc and we're going to create a brand new webinar. So to do this, you take your Google Slides, you are going to right click on the slide and click Open With, and you'll see Smart Learning Suite as an option. That is one way to open the file. The other way to open the file is to click New, More, Smart Learning Suite. When you do it through Smart Learning Suite that way, you're now going to have to choose the file second. If you do it by just right-clicking and saying Open with Smart Learning Suite, it does skip a step. The reason why I am taking you through File New is I want you to see the entire menu. So as you can see, you're given the option to add content when you create a new Smart Suite Online notebook. Importing a resource includes G Suite files. So I click on Import, I go to G Suite, and I am going to go to my original presentation. So now it is going to, oh, it says something went wrong. It is possible because that file is open that it won't let me open it a second time. So we're going to go into that presentation. Nope, it still didn't work. All right, so we're going to go into a different presentation. I'm not positive why that one's not opening, but we will figure that out. So we are going to go just into the one we already created and hit Edit Lesson. So if you notice, when I'm in the editing, and this would be the same if I open the new file, so that's the reason why I just went this way. I can go down to my activity. And as you can see, it says preview the activity because I have already turned it into an activity. However, if I was to go to a different slide, and we're just going to go to this one, for example, my teacher toolbar is up on top. I have the option for my mouse, text, or adding a picture. So to create the drag and drop, what I did was I created a text. And for each word, I create a new text box. This is really important that each word is its own text box because when you drag, you're dragging that entire text box. I then take my mouse and I drag those words so that they're in that word box. Obviously, there's no word box on this file or on this slide, but that's how you would drag them. Notice, as I said, that when you type in the same text box, the words are connected. After you've typed all your words, you'll click Convert to Activity and make it a handout. This is now how your students have the ability to drag those words. If you were to create the entire slide in Smart Learning Suite, you would click the plus sign and you would add a new page. Notice that the new page is completely white with black text. This is any page on Smart Learning Suite Online. It will always be white with black text unless you import something else like the Google Slides. So as you can see, I just made a little sample sentence, and then I'll put my fill in the blank here. When I convert this one to an activity, this is the difference. Yes, it does convert the original slide. Someone just asked that in the text box. So this is the difference between importing a Google slide and just creating the word bank and creating the slide directly in Smart Learning Suite. Notice that I can drag everything that was typed in the Smart Learning Suite. When you import the Google Doc, what it did was it actually converts the entire slide into a big image and then puts that image as the background. So your students can't drag the whole paragraph, they can only drag the words that you typed in Smart Learning Suite Online. That's the reason why I prefer doing it that way. It is a personal choice though, so if you like to do it this way, you are more than welcome to. So the other thing in Smart Learning Suite is when you click on the plus side, you will see shouted out. Those activities will not work in asynchronous. They will only work in teacher pace. Same thing with the response. It will only work in teacher pace, not asynchronous. So if you want your students to log in on their own pace, these two activities are not good activities to use. When you go to game-based activities, most of these are things that your students can do. However, a reminder again, if you were to do the fill in the blank here, yes, you can create your sentence easily. You would write your sentence, and then you would click Define the blank. Click on the words that you want to be the blank. Click Next and select your background, and then click Finish. However, again, when you do this activity, your students are not able to show you the words. So they can do this for themselves as practice, but you as the teacher will not see their progress and you will not be able to check for understanding. So one last thing before I open up the floor to questions is, how do you get your students to log in? Well, that's another issue that some teachers have been coming across. You as the teacher do have to have the notebook open. So if you notice, it says I have 3 students currently in my class. If I was to open a different Smart Learning Suite notebook, and I'm going to as an example for you right now, the 3 students who are logged into my classroom, as soon as I open a different notebook, it is actually going to flop what they see. So they will no longer see today's webinar sample. They're about to see the presentation that's being opened. The reason is your teacher code can only access one notebook at a time. If you are planning to do this for multiple classes, you either have to just have one very long slide and say, if you're in biology, go to slides 5 to 8. If you're in AP chemistry, go to slides 10 to 12, something like that. Or you can only have it for one class. So either everyone's doing the same thing, or you have to make a very long slide and in your directions, tell the students which activities they're doing. So that is the one drawback, is you as a teacher can only have one notebook open at a time. Now your students, when they log into Hello Smart, they can flip between their teachers. So if you are the biology teacher and the math teacher is also doing an asynchronous Smart Learning Suite lesson, they can switch between teacher A and teacher B. You as the teacher must only have one notebook open. So at this time, I am going to open the floor up for questions. You can either type your questions in the text box or you can come off of mute.
Well, I'll play dummy. I'm having a trouble with the word handout.
Okay. Yes. So when you see the word handout, think of it like if you were to make photocopies for every single student and then collect those copies. So let me go back to the notebook that I know I have my 2 demo students just did work in. So what happens, where is my folder? There it is. See, I color coded my folder to make it easy to find and I still can't find it.
Mhm.
And then I clicked on the wrong folder. So what happens with the handout is it basically makes a virtual photocopy of that slide for every student. So what's going to happen is the students each get their copy and they can't see each other's. Only the teacher can see all the copies. And you as the teacher can flip between the student's work. So if I come back to slide number 2 and I click student progress, you'll see here it says teacher handout and it says here students will appear once they're connected. Well, even if the student's not currently connected, did I open the same notebook? Maybe not. Let me go to the other slide. I thought that was the same slide that I just had students working on.
Can I ask a
Yes.
question? It's on topic. But this handout, quote unquote, was created in Google Slides
Yes.
and then was imported.
There we go. I found the right slide, but sorry, continue the question and then I'll show you what I was going to show.
Remember how you said you have to put the words in a text box?
Yes.
Was
How
that
did I do
done?
that?
No, I know how to do that. But that was done when I was making it in Google Slides and then it all imported over? Or did you have to do that part in this program?
That part I did in Smart Learning Suite. So this is what the slide looks like.
But did you have to do it there, or could I have done that in Google Slides?
If you had done it in Google Slides, there's 2 different options for that part. So if I did the word bank in Google Slides, my students would then have to either handwrite the words in or type them in. If you do the words in Smart Learning Suite, they can drag and drop.
So there are certain things you can get ready beforehand and some things you have to do inside Suite.
Yes, anything interactive has to be done in Suite. Okay. So to drag the words, it has to be done in Suite. To just have the word bank listed, you can do that in Google Slides.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the whole, what I was saying about how, if you go back to that first demo slide, see, and this is what happens when I open multiple copies in the same thing. It gave me error messages and has to reload. So remember how I did that quick sample and I typed the whole thing directly in Smart Learning Suite?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure what I opened on this one. Oh, this I think is that bear that I was just showing you. Yep. So this was that demo that I opened second. All right, so let me get back. So did you see that? I should have left the error message long enough for you to read it, but it said you have 2 Smart Learning notebooks open and they're fighting for access to your teacher code, basically. So you can only have one open. If I go back to that one that we created together as the demo, which is this one right here, because I typed these words in a Smart Learning Suite, they can be dragged. However, this part of the presentation that was created in Google Slides cannot be moved.
Mm-hmm.
So do you see what I mean when I say creating the word box allows you to drag?
Right, but yes, but there's not technically a box. You don't actually need a box. They can just be
No,
there.
I made the box for the visual.
Oh, I know, it's for the original one, but you
Right.
didn't really have to make a word box.
No,
They could just be around the activity.
exactly.
Mhm.
And then if you were to create the whole thing directly in Smart Learning Suite, I can move my question as well. So
Because
that
it's
is
in
the
the box
reason.
already. It was
Because
already in a box.
because if it's created in Smart Learning Suite, it's always going to be interactive and movable. That's part of Smart Learning Suite's ability, is that everything can be dragged and dropped and written on. Like I can go here, take my pen, and I'm using a mouse right now, so forgive my bad handwriting. But so I can do that with the pen, or I can drag the word, go back to the mouse before you drag the word. But that's some of the flexibility.
Okay, the
Um,
reason I'm a little confused about that last one is because you type that into an already existing um, text box,
yes.
and so if you were to continue on another part of that, wouldn't you have to create another text box?
You could, yes.
Because it
So
only
if
came with one.
you could have multiple text boxes. So if I go back and
Right.
put a new blank page just to demonstrate. So
See
you
that?
just click.
Okay, so you see how there's enter title here?
Mm-hmm.
That's already a text box technically.
Yes.
Now go down to enter description.
Yes.
Okay, that's another one. Now, if you want anything else, you have to create it.
Right.
Okay,
You
got it.
click on the A up here,
Hmm.
and then you just click anywhere on the slide.
Hmm.
And that's it.
Okay.
And you can click on that A and you could add as many individual words as you want.
Hmm.
So as I explained before, anything in the same text box is going to drag together. So like for example, if you were doing a fill in the blank and you have George Washington and it's one text box, the whole name is going to drag together. If you have George as one text box and Washington as another text box, you can drag them individually. And I'll even use George Washington as my example. So now I have 3 text boxes. So this one is George Washington as a whole. And this one, I could drag it to make it look like it's one sentence. However, they move individually. An activity I've seen some teachers actually do similar to this is they've created, if you remember back in like the early 2000s, magnetic poetry. I've seen some teachers just put a list of words and tell the kids create a poem using these words. And the kids drag the words to make like a haiku or something. It's actually very creative what some kids come up with. But there's so much you can do, but it's really you have to figure out what you want to do to then create the activities. And again, only the activities that you convert to handouts are going to be visible to you as the teacher to grade.
Okay, wait, stop right there.
Okay.
Say that again.
Only activities that you could turn into handouts are visible to you as the teacher to grade. So when I come back into my actual presentation, if I go to one of those full activities like this fill in the blank, I as the teacher cannot grade this one because I as the teacher will not see the student's work. The students will see their work, but the teacher won't. The teacher's only going to see the results of student handouts.
Now, the other one, could you convert one for us?
What do you mean by convert one? Like make
Well,
another handout?
the activity that you just showed with the show and the blank, that's not converted, is it?
Well, no, those you can't really convert those. Those are the pre-made activities.
Hmm.
So if I go back to edit my lesson and I click on the plus sign to add a new page,
Mm-hmm.
Do you see how there's an option for a blank page or a game-based activity?
Mm-hmm.
When you click on those game-based, these are all the and this is when you're in the classroom with your smartboard as well. But these are all the activities.
Oh, okay. Go back one, please.
Okay?
Okay. Add content. So this is where I can make an activity that a teacher could see as
Right.
students work.
So, well,
Oh,
no,
so
the ones that say game-based activities, you as the teacher will not see the student work. These are
okay.
for reinforcement and practice of skills only.
Okay. I feel I'm in a circle.
It's
I'd like
okay.
to know how that one slide can be viewable to a teacher when a student does the work.
Okay. Well, there is a workaround. It's not, it depends on how tech savvy your students are, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to do an activity like the fill in the blank one,
Yeah.
not the fill in the blank where I typed the words and had the kids drag, but one of the actual like games,
Okay. Let's
like
go back
this
to
one.
that. That's where I'm confused by the two. Let's
Okay.
talk about this one.
All right. So you
Okay.
want to go back to the one I created the first time?
I want the student to. I want to be able to see the student after they drag it over.
Okay. So that one is, you'd have to do like this. You'd have to manually create your own word bank and a
Right.
slide and turn it into a handout.
Yeah. That's the thing. Turn it into a handout for me
Okay.
again.
That's what you want to see. Okay. Now I got what you need. Sorry, Georgia. I think I was just as confused as you. All right.
No.
So
No.
if I'm going to actually go to my slide right here for a second, and I'm just taking an extra step just because I already have the slide created. So I just downloaded this Google slide as a JPEG. So now I'm going to create a blank slide and I'm going to import that JPEG. So this is how it would look. What I'm about to show you is how it would look when you convert the Google slide to a smart learning notebook, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you obviously won't have to do this step. This step is a little bit of a shortcut, a little bit of a workaround to recreating an entire notebook. So I import my Google slide, and just how like this one imported, I've now imported, where'd it go? There we go. I imported it as a slide. Now I would click on my letter A, click anywhere on the slide, and type in the word. I personally am going to make it a bigger font than 12 just because 12 is really tiny. And because my word bank, I made the box black, I'm going to change the font to red. I then do the same thing, create whatever ones I need. Notice that my text knows to stay the same as the first one. I'm not going to do all the words, I'm just going to do a few. So now I made my words. I drag them where I want the starting place to be. So I'm just going to drag them into that black word bank. And now that I have the words typed, I'm going to click convert to activity and make it in
Okay.
handout.
Stop. You just went blah 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 blah.
Sorry. Okay.
I looked for 3 seconds somewhere else and I didn't see what you clicked. Convert to activity.
Yeah. So George, what I did was I did the text box.
Mm-hmm.
I type in the words.
I call that. Yep. Okay.
Oh wait, smart online. I always forget what the acronym is. I had to think for a second. All right. So I put it right here in the word bank.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have my word bank. Once you have all your words typed, convert to activity is down on the bottom.
See, I'm not seeing that for some reason.
Well, are
Where
you in
you're,
an edit? Are you in edit mode or are you looking at my slide?
I'm looking at. Okay, now it's gone. Um, oh, I see it at the bottom. It's blue.
Right. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was it covered with the
Yeah.
webinars toolbar?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So you would click the convert to activity and then make this page an individual handout. And that's it.
and now the students will be able to move them.
Yes.
Now,
So
you
now,
said,
yes, keep going.
just like underneath that was that community thing, collaborative. You told us not to really use that.
Not to use that for asynchronous.
Okay.
Everyone has to be logged in at the exact same time, every student and every teacher,
Mm-hmm.
in order to use the collaborative.
But the students could do this on their own when we're logged off.
Right. The students
Mm-hmm.
can do the handouts independently.
Yeah.
They can't do the collaborative. They can only do the handouts.
Okay. Oh, that's good. It's just us. Oh, hi, Brew.
No, we have other people in here.
Okay.
You are more than welcome to ask your questions. Don't feel like you have to stop. Like if other people have questions, they're gonna cut in. Don't worry.
Well, I'll let somebody else ask the question because I do have another one.
All right. Just so you all know, this webinar officially did end at 9:30. We are going to keep answering questions, so please don't feel like you have to leave. I just want you to know that we respect your time and we appreciate all of you coming in today. George, your partner just said go for it, George.
Oh, good. He's always allowing me leeway because he knows
Gotcha.
I need help.
And that's what we're here for, to help.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to explain how I would get in and tell me where I'm wrong.
Okay.
I've made a slide and I've made the activities. And the students. Now, the
Yeah.
students don't go through Classroom to get there, do they? They go through.
Well, if you send them to hellosmart.com, you can put a link to HelloSmart on Google Classroom.
Okay.
So if you were going to do that, what I would actually recommend, and notice I have 0 students in my demo class. What I would recommend is I'd create an activity like this. I would say, and I actually don't remember my class code by memory, so what is it? It is 120636. So I would do something like that. And then where it says add, I would put a link directly to hellosmart.com. So this way, when I post that activity to my Google Classroom, the students can just click on the link and then they have the class code right there to join.
Okay.
So you can't post, like you can't technically link directly to Smart Learning Suite, but you can, it's kind of a workaround.
And you both well, you said there are different ways, like sometimes the teacher and the students will look at the same slides, other times the students can look at others.
Right. So when you're in your notebook, do you see here it says lesson pacing?
Oh, yeah.
So if you have it marked to teacher, and I see that you're currently logged into my notebook. So do you notice that these arrows on the side for you are grayed out? On whatever, if you're on your cell phone, if you're on a different tab of your browser, these are going to be grayed out because I'm in teacher mode. You are going to be looking at this slide right here that says questions. Here's my email and phone number. If I switch this to student paced, your arrows are going to become white, and now you can move on your own. So I'm on the questions page, but you can be up on a different activity working. That's the student versus teacher paced. It's whether the teacher's controlling the slides or the student can control it themselves.
Under teacher, though, they could not do the activity. Am I correct?
They could do the activity, but only if you're open to that specific slide.
Oh, okay. But yours wouldn't move, would it? Just theirs.
No,
Like
yes, if it's in student paced, only they can move it.
Right, but if you're in teacher pace, on that slide of the word bank, you said they could move it at that time.
What do you mean by remove?
No, move.
Move. Yes, they can move it. I thought you said remove, and I'm like, no, the students can't delete slides.
Okay. And how are, like, once they're done, how does the teacher see the grade?
Well, that's the thing. You wouldn't see a grade per se. You would just be able to see their final work. So if I was to go
Oh.
back to that sample that Devin did for us,
Mm-hmm.
and I click student progress.
Wait, you did it again. Where did you click that?
Okay, so you can either use the arrow keys to go between the slides, or if you
Mm-hmm.
click on the number in the middle, it
Right.
opens up your shortcuts. So you know how like with PowerPoint and Google Slides, you can see all your slides on the side?
Mm-hmm.
You click the number, and that brings up that panel, that preview panel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whenever you have handouts, you're going to notice every single handout has the same preview.
Mm-hmm.
I just happen to know that slide number 8 was my fill in the blank and slide 7 was my draw the stars.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to click on the fill in the blank. And then
Oh,
this is what
yeah.
comes up for the teacher. It says student progress. The students are just going to see their page. So if Devin was to do this right now, it's just going to pull up her work. It's not going to pull up a blank. It's not going to pull up another classmate's. It's just going to pull up Devin's. Now, I, as the teacher, can see Devin's work.
Mm-hmm.
I can put a picture in. So I can Google a picture of a gold star and put it on there for her because she got them all right. Way to go, Devin.
Could you please go back
Thank
one where you got
you.
that picture?
Where I got the picture?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to delete the gold star from Devin.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's okay. She's going to get another one. So on the toolbar on the left,
Mm-hmm.
you have your hand, your finger is your mouse, the pen is the pen, eraser is the eraser. Now the eraser can only erase pens, so the eraser cannot erase text. It can't erase
Mm-hmm.
anything except the pen. So if I drew that funky shape, I could erase it, but notice it doesn't erase anything else. The A is the text box, and
Mm-hmm.
the little landscape right here is the picture. When
Oh,
I click
okay.
on that picture, you have 3 options. Upload a picture from your computer, copy and paste the picture's URL, or do an online image search. So I just did an online image search for a gold star. I find
Wow.
one I like, double click on it. It now imports that picture to the slide. I can take that picture, I can move it, I can shrink it. So the little circle on the bottom right is to resize. The circle in the top middle is to rotate.
Okay. Now, I like that. Could you please go back a little bit to where you showed me the preview slides?
The how to see everyone's. Oh, the
Well,
preview. Okay.
uh-huh.
So again, right between your 2 arrows, you're going to see this little rectangle with the number.
Mm-hmm.
Click on the number and it pulls up
Okay.
the previews.
Now, just hover over number 8.
Okay. This number 8 or
Yeah.
this number 8?
Oh, the one on the slide, on the sidebar, on the slides
Okay.
itself, where the no,
Up. Okay, up
where the
here.
pen. Now, oh my God, how do I say this? Why you said it's a preview and the activities will show this pen or whatever it is, the purple.
Right.
Um, why does it show student progress and not the slide that you made?
Because the students have already started. So if I was to click on it again, let me click on number 7 so it opens up here. When I
Okay.
click that student progress, you're going to see it automatically shows me these 3 students have started working on it.
Mhm.
Down at the bottom, it shows teacher handout.
Okay.
So if I wanted to go back to the blank page to put up on my board or to put up on my webinar, I would just click teacher handout and this pulls up the blank sample.
Okay. Good.
You are asking great questions today, George. I am loving this.
That's because I'm dumb.
No.
No, interesting. Let's see.
I'm going to tell you what I tell my students. I don't like that word.
I know. Oh boy, that is kind of cool.